Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are reading from Joy Harjo's Weaving Sundown in a Scarlet Light, 50 Poems for 50 Years. Joy Harjo, born in 1951, is a member of the Muskogee Nation. She served 3 terms as a Poet Laureate of the United States from 2019 to 2022. She has had 10 books of poetry published. I'm going to read her notes on one of the poems being read today to let you know how she works. Eagle poem. This poem was given to me by the Eagles. I'm quoting this from her. They circled over the sweat tent as we emerged one day after cleaning ourselves with prayers, stories, hot stones, and plants. There were 4 of them. We see you, we said, and we thanked them for their message that assured us that though our challenges were many, we would continue our path that would eventually return us home, the home we left when we fell from the sky and came down to earth. I needed this poem, and I was not the only one. I came to realize that it was a prayer given to assist with the journey. It has been used in many funerals, on birth announcements, and at marriage and other ceremonial events. It is a blessing by the Eagles, passed on through words that were given to me. As the poet, I make a structure for the meaning to live. I use words, rhythm, metaphor, syntax, and music. And time. Time is a major tool to craft meaning in a poem. That event of the circling eagles took place in the very early 80s. They are still circling in memory in the poem. They are still blessing us. Joy Harjo is a great American poet. The magnificent readers are, in order of appearance, Corinne Conley, James Cushing, Susan Hayden, Phoebe MacAdams. Here's Corinne Conley.
The Last Song. How can you stand it, he said, the hot Oklahoma summers where you were born. This humid, thick air is choking me, and I want to go back to New Mexico. It is the only way I know how to breathe. An ancient chant that my mother knew came out of a history woven from the wet, tall grass in her womb. And I know no other way than to surround my voice with the summer songs of crickets in this moist south night air. Oklahoma will be the last song I'll ever sing. Are you still there? There are 65 miles of telephone wire between Acoma and Albuquerque. I dial the number and listen for the sound of his low voice on the other side. Hello? Is a gentle motion of a western wind, cradling tiny purple flowers that grow near the road towards Laguna. I smell them. As I near the Rio Puerco Bridge, my voice stumbles, returning over sandstone as it passes the Canyoncito exit. I have missed you, he says. The rhythm circles the curve of Mesita cliffs to meet me. But my voice is caught shredded on a barbed wire fence at the side of the road and flutters soundless in the wind. Anchorage. For Audre Lorde. This city is made of stone, of blood, and fish. There are Chugach Mountains to the east and Whale and Seal to the west. It hasn't always been this way because glaciers, who are ice ghosts, create oceans, carve earth, and shape this city here by the sound. They swim backwards in time. Once a storm of boiling earth cracked open the streets, threw open the town. It's quiet now, but underneath the concrete is the cooking earth. And above that, air, which is another ocean, where spirits we can't see are dancing, joking, getting full on roasted caribou. And the praying goes on, extends out. Nora and I go walking down 4th Avenue and know it is all happening. On a park bench, we see someone's Athabascan grandmother folded up, smelling like 200 years of blood and piss. Her eyes closed against some unimagined darkness, where she is buried in an ache in which nothing makes sense. We keep on breathing, walking, but softer now, the clouds whirling in the air above us. What can we say that would make us understand better than we do already? Except to speak of her home and claim her as our own history, and know that our dreams don't end here, 2 blocks away from the ocean, where our hearts still batter away at the muddy shore. And I think of the 6th Avenue jail, of mostly native and black men, where Henry told about being shot 8 times outside a liquor store in L.A. But when the car sped away, he was surprised he was alive. No bullet holes, man, and 8 cartridges strewn on the sidewalk all around him. Everyone laughed at the impossibility of it, but also the truth. Because who would believe the fantastic and terrible story of all of our survival, those who were never meant to survive? Remember the sky you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving way to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life, and her mother's, and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember you are all people, and all people are you. Remember you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. She had some horses. She had some horses. She had horses who were bodies of sand. She had horses who were maps drawn of blood. She had horses who were skins of ocean water. She had horses who were the blue air of sky. She had horses who were fur and teeth. She had horses who were clay and would break. She had horses who were splintered red cliff. She had some horses. She had horses with eyes of trains. She had horses with full brown thighs. She had horses who laughed too much. She had horses who threw rocks at glass houses. She had horses who lit razor blades. She had some horses. She had horses who danced in their mother's arms. She had horses who thought they were the sun, and their bodies shone and burned like stars. She had horses who waltzed nightly on the moon. She had horses who were much too shy and kept quiet in stalls of their own making. She had some horses. She had horses who liked creek stomp dance songs. She had horses who cried in their beer. She had horses who spit at male queens, who made them afraid of themselves. She had horses who said they weren't afraid. She had horses who lied. She had horses who told the truth, who were stripped bare of their tongues. She had some horses. She had horses who called themselves horse. She had horses who called themselves spirit and kept their voices secret and to themselves. She had horses who had no names. She had horses who had books of names. She had some horses. She had horses who whispered in the dark, who were afraid to speak. She had horses who screamed out of fear of the silence, who carried knives to protect themselves from ghosts. She had horses who waited for destruction. She had horses who waited for resurrection. She had some horses. She had horses who got down on their knees for any savior. She had horses who thought their high price saved them. She had horses who tried to save her, who climbed in her bed at night and prayed. She had some horses. She had some horses she loved. She had some horses she hated. These were the same horses. And now I'll pass this on to James Cushing.
Thank you. Thank you, Corinne. I'm going to start with a poem called I Give You Back. I release you, my beautiful and terrible fear. I release you. You were my beloved and hated twin, but now I don't know you as myself. I release you with all the pain I would know at the death of my children. You are not my blood anymore. I give you back to the soldiers who burned down my home, beheaded my children, raped and sodomized my brothers and sisters. I give you back to those who stole the food from our plates when we were starving. I release you, fear, because you hold these scenes in front of me, and I was born with eyes that can never close. I release you. I release you. I release you. I release you. I am not afraid to be angry. I'm not afraid to rejoice. I'm not afraid to be black. I'm not afraid to be white. I'm not afraid to be hungry. I'm not afraid to be full. I am not afraid to be hated. I am not afraid to be loved. To be loved. To be loved. Fear. Oh, you have choked me, but I gave you the leash. You have gutted me, but I gave you the knife. You have devoured me, but I laid myself across the fire. I take myself back, fear. You are not my shadow any longer. I won't hold you in my hands. You can't live in my eyes, my ears, my voice, my belly, or in my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. But come here, fear. I am alive, and you are so afraid of dying. This is a prose poem called Grace. I think of wind and her wild ways the year we had nothing to lose and lost it anyway in the cursed country of the fox. We still talk about that winter, how the cold froze imaginary buffalo on the stuffed horizon of snowbanks. The haunting voices of the starved and mutilated broke fences, crashed our thermostat dreams, and we couldn't stand it one more time. So once again, we lost a winter in stubborn memory, walked through cheap apartment walls, skated through fields of ghosts into a town that never wanted us in the epic search for grace. Like coyote, like rabbit, we could not contain our terror and clowned our way through a season of false midnights. We had to swallow that town with laughter so it would go down easy as honey. And one morning, as the sun struggled to break ice, and our dreams had found us with coffee and pancakes in a truck stop along Highway 80, we found Grace. I could say Grace was a woman with time on her hands, or a white buffalo escaped from memory. But in that dingy light, it was a promise of balance. We once again understood the talk of animals, and spring was lean and hungry with the hope of children and corn. I would like to say with Grace, we picked ourselves up and walked into the spring thaw. We didn't. The next season was worse. You went home to Leech Lake to work with the tribe, and I went south. And wind, I'm still crazy. I know there is something larger than the memory of a dispossessed people. We have seen it. I needed a sip of something before wrapping my voice around the title of this poem. For Anna May Pictou Aquash, whose spirit is present here and in the dappled stars, for we remember the story and must tell it again so we may all live. Beneath a sky blurred with mist and wind, I am amazed as I watch the violet heads of crocuses erupt from the stiff earth after dying for a season. As I have watched my own dark head appear each morning after entering the next world to come back to this one, amazed. It is the way in the natural world to understand the place the ghost dancers named after the heartbreaking destruction, Anna May. Everything and nothing changes. You are the shimmering young woman who found her voice when you were warned to be silent or have your body cut away from you like an elegant weed. You are the one whose spirit is present in the dappled stars. They prance and lope like colored horses who stay with us through the streets of these steely cities. And I have seen them nuzzling the frozen bodies of tattered drunks on the corner. This morning, when the last star is dimming and the buses grind toward the middle of the city, I know it is 10 years since they buried you the second time in Lakota, a language that could free you. I heard about it in Oklahoma or New Mexico, how the wind howled and pulled everything down in a righteous anger. It was the women who told me. And we understood wordlessly the ripe meaning of your murder. As I understand, 10 years later, after the slow changing of the seasons, that we have just begun to touch the dazzling whirlwind of our anger. We have just begun to perceive the amazed world the ghost dancers entered crazily, beautifully. Bird. Let me preface this poem by saying that the one time I heard Joy Harjo read, she brought her alto saxophone and played a solo that was quite surprising, quite memorable, and clearly indebted to the style and genius of Charlie Bird Parker, who is mentioned explicitly in the poem. Bird. The moon plays horn, leaning on the shoulder of the dark universe to the infinite glitter of chance. Tonight I watched Bird kill himself, larger than real life. I've always had a theory that some of us are born with nerve endings longer than our bodies, out to here, farther than his convoluted scales could reach. Those nights he played, he did climb the stairway of forgetfulness with his horn, a woman who was always beautiful to strangers. All poets understand the final uselessness of words. We are chords to other chords to other chords, if we're lucky, to melody. The moon is brighter than anything I can see when I come out of the theater, than music and memory of music or any mere poem. At least I can dance to ornithology or sweet talk beside Charlie's blues. But inside this poem, I can't play a horn, hijack a plane to somewhere where music is the place those nerve endings dangle. Each rhapsody embodies counterpoint, and pain stuns the woman in high heels. The man behind the horn sings the heart. To survive is sometimes a leap into madness. The fingers of saints are still hot from miracles. But can they save themselves? Where is the dimension a God lives who will take Bird home? I want to see it, I said to the Catalinas, to the Rincons, to anyone listening in the dark. I said, let me hear you by any means, by horn, by fever, by night, even by some poem attempting flight home. I'm going to close my portion of this afternoon's reading by thanking Harry for inviting me, and thanking the MPTF Creative Chaos team for hosting, for making this program possible, and of course to thank Joy Harjo for writing these remarkable poems. The last one that I'll read is called Eagle Poem. I pray you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whose whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky and wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty. In beauty. Speaking of beauty, we're going to segue next to one of LA's most prominent literary figures, Susan Hayden. Susan Hayden.
Perhaps the world ends here. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teeth at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. At this table, we gossip, recall enemies, and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor, falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite. Emergence. It's midsummer night. The light is skinny. A thin skirt of desire skims the earth. Dogs bark at the musk of other dogs and the urge to go wild. I am lingering at the edge of a broken heart, striking relentlessly against the flint of hard will. It's coming apart, and everyone knows it. So do squash erupting in flowers, the color of the sun. So does the momentum of grace gathering allies in the partying mob. The heart knows everything. I remember when there was no urge to cut the land or each other into pieces. When we knew how to think in beautiful. There is no world like the one surfacing. I can smell it as I pace in my square room. The neighbor's television entering my house by waves of sound makes me think about buying a new car, another kind of cigarette, when I don't need another car and I don't smoke cigarettes. A human mind is small when thinking of small things. It is large when embracing the maker of walking, thinking, and flying. If I can locate the sense beyond desire, I will not eat or drink until I stagger into the earth with grief. I will locate the point of dawning and awaken with the longest day in the world. It's raining in Honolulu. There is a small mist at the brow of the mountain. Each leaf of flowers, of taro, tree, and bush shivers with ecstasy. And the rain songs of all the flowering ones who have called for the rain can be found there, flourishing beneath the currents of singing. Rain opens us like flowers or earth that has been thirsty for more than a season. We stop all of our talking, quit thinking, to drink the mystery. We listen to the breathing beneath our breathing. We hear how the rain became rain, how we became human. The wetness saturates and cleans everything, including the perpetrators of the second overthrow. We will plant songs where there were curses. When the world as we knew it ended, we had been watching since the eve of the missionaries in their long and solemn clothes to see what would happen. We saw it from the kitchen window over the sink as we made coffee, cooked rice and potatoes, enough for an army. We saw it all as we changed diapers and fed the babies. We saw it through the branches of the knowledgeable tree, through the snags of scars, through the sun and storms from our knees as we bathed and washed the floors. The conference of the birds warned us as they flew over destroyers in the harbor, parked there since the first takeover. It was by their song and talk we knew when to rise, when to look out the window to the commotion going on, the magnetic field thrown off by grief. We heard it, the racket in every corner of the world, as the hunger for war rose up in those who would steal to be president, to be king or emperor, to own the trees, stones, and everything. Everything else that moved about the earth, inside the earth and above it. We knew it was coming, tasted the winds who gathered intelligence from each leaf and flower, from every mountain, sea, and desert, from every prayer and song all over this tiny universe, floating in the skies of infinite being. And then it was over. This world we had grown to love, for its sweet grasses, for the many-colored horses and fishes, for the shimmering possibilities while dreaming. But then there were the seeds to plant and the babies who needed milk and comforting, and someone picked up a guitar or ukulele from the rubble and began to sing about the light flutter and kick beneath the skin of the earth we felt there beneath us. A warm animal, a song being born between the legs of her, a poem. For calling the spirit back from wandering the earth in its human feet. Put down that bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone, computer, and remote control. Open the door, then close it behind you. Take a breath offered by friendly winds. They travel the earth, gathering essences of plants to clean. Give back with gratitude. If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars, ears, and back. Acknowledge this earth who has cared for you since you were a dream, planting itself precisely within your parents' desire. Let your moccasin feet take you to the encampment of the guardians who have known you before time, who will be there after time. They sit before the fire that has been there without time. Let the earth stabilize your post-colonial insecure jitters. Be respectful of the small insects, birds, and animal people who accompany you. Ask them forgiveness for the harm we humans have brought down upon them. Don't worry. The heart knows the way through. The heart knows the way, though there may be high rises, interstates, checkpoints, armed soldiers, massacres, wars, and those who will despise you because they despise themselves. The journey might take you a few hours, a day, a year, a few years, 100, 1,000, or even more. Watch your mind. Without training, it might run away and leave your heart for the immense human feast set by the thieves of time. Do not hold regrets. When you find your way to the circle, to the fire kept burning by the keepers of your soul, you will be welcomed. You must clean yourself with cedar, sage, or other healing plant. Cut the ties you have to failure and shame. Let go of the pain you are holding in your mind, your shoulders, your heart, all the way to your feet. Let go of the pain of your ancestors to make way for those who are heading in our direction. Ask for forgiveness. Call upon the help of those who love you. Call your spirit back. It may be caught in corners and creases of shame, judgment, and human abuse. You must call in a way that your spirit will want to return. Speak to it as you would to a beloved child. Welcome your spirit back from its wandering. It may return in pieces, in tatters. Gather them together. They will be happy to be found after being lost for so long. Your spirit will need to sleep a while after it is bathed and given clean clothes. Now you can have a party. Invite everyone you know who loves and supports you. Keep room for those who have no place else to go. Make a giveaway, and remember, keep the speeches short. Then you must do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark. Thank you.
This poem I'm going to start with no. Yes, that was me you saw shaking with bravery with a government-issued rifle on my back. I'm sorry I could not greet you as you deserved, my relative. They were not my tears. I have a reservoir inside. They will be cried by my sons and my daughters if I can't learn how to turn tears to stone. Yes, that was me, standing in the back door of the house in the alley with fresh corn and bread for the neighbors. I did not foresee the flood of blood, how they would forget our friendship and would return to kill the babies and me. Yes, that was me whirling on the dance floor. We made such a racket with all that joy. I loved the whole world in that silly music. I did not realize the terrible dance in the staccato of bullets. Yes, I smelled the burning grease of corpses, and like a fool, I expected your words might rise up and jam the artillery in the hands of dictators. We had to keep going. We sang our grief to clean the air of turbulent spirits. Yes, I did see the terrible black clouds as I cooked dinner, and the messages of the dying spelled there in the ashy sunset. Everyone addressed Mother. There was nothing about it in the news. Everything was the same. Unemployment was up, another queen crowned with flowers, and then there were the sports scores. Yes, the distance was great between your country and mine, yet our children played in the path between our houses. No, we had no quarrel with each other. Washing my mother's body. I never got to wash my mother's body when she died. I returned to take care of her in memory. That's how I make peace when things are left undone. I go back and open the door. I step in to make my ritual, to do what should have been done, what needs to be fixed, so that my spirit can move on, so that the children and grandchildren are not caught in a knot of regret they do not understand. I find the white enamel pan she used to bathe us when we were babies. I turn the faucet on and hold my hand under the water until it is warm, the temperature one uses to wash an infant. I find a clean washcloth in the stack of washcloths. She had nothing in her childhood, and she made sure she had plenty of everything when she grew up and made her own life. Her closets were full of pretty dresses, so many she had not time to wear them all. They were brought by the young girl who wore the same flour sack dress to school every day, the one she had to wash out every night and hang to dry near the wood stove. I pick up the bar of soap from her sink, the same soap she used yesterday morning to wash her face. When she looked in the mirror, did she know it would be her last sunrise? I move over pill bottles, a clock radio on the table by the bed, a pen, and set down the pan. I straighten the blankets over her to keep her warm, for dignity. I start with her face. Her face is unlined even 2 months before her 80th birthday. She was known for her beauty, and when younger, passed for Cherokee. My mother kept the iron pot given to her by her mother, whose mother said it was given to her by the U.S. government on the Trail of Tears. She grew flowers in it. As I wash my mother's face, I tell her how beautiful she is, how brave, how her beauty and bravery live on in her grandchildren. Her face is relaxed, peaceful. Her earth memory body has not left yet. But when I see her the next day, embalmed and in the casket in the funeral home, it will be gone. Where does it go? It is heavier than the spirit who lifted up and flew. I think of it making the rounds to every place she has loved to say goodbye. Goodbye to the house where I bought my baby's home, she sings. Goodbye to June's bar, where I was the shuffleboard queen. I cannot say goodbye yet. I will never say goodbye. I lift up each arm to wash. Her hands still wear her favorite rings. She loved her body and decorated it with shiny jewelry, with creams and makeup. I am tender over that burn scar on her arm from when she cooked at the place with the cruel boss who insisted she reach her hand into the friolator to clean it. She had protested it was still hot and suffered a deep burn. That scar always reminded me of her coming in from working long hours in restaurants, her uniform drenched with sweat, determination, and exhaustion. Once she came home and I was burning up with a fever. She pulled out the same pan I am dipping the washcloth in now, only she added rubbing alcohol to bring the fever down. She washes tenderly, tells me about how her friend Chunky left her husband again, how she knows her old boss, a Jewish woman who treated her kindly, has cancer. She doesn't know how she knows. She just knows. She doesn't tell me that. I find it in a journal that she has left me, a day book in which she has written notes for me to find when she is gone. I wash her neck, lift the blankets to move down to her heart. I thank her body for carrying us through the tough story, through the violence of my father and her second husband. The story is all there in her body as I wash her to prepare her to be let down into earth, to return all stories to the earth. My body memories rise up as I wash. I recall carrying my two children, rocking them and feeding them from my body, how I knew myself as beloved earth in that body. I uncover my mother's legs. I remember the varicose veins that swelled like rivers when my mother would get off a long shift of standing and cooking. They carried more than a woman should carry. A woman should be honored like a queen. Traditionally, we treated our women with that kind of respect, my Creek husband tells me. Ha! I laugh and ask him, well, then why aren't you cooking my dinner? I wash her feet, caress them. You will have some rest now, I tell my mother. Even as I know my mother was never one for resting, I cover her. I make the final ring of the washcloth and drape it over the pan. I brush my mother's hair and kiss her forehead. I ask the keepers of the journey to make sure her travel is safe and sure. I ask the angels whom she loved and with whom she spoke frequently to take her home. But wait, not before I find her favorite perfume. And then I sing her favorite song, softly. I don't know the name of the song, just a few phrases. One of those old homemade heartbreak songs where there's a moment of happiness wound through. And then I let her go. My man's feet. They are heroic roots. You cannot mistake them for any other 6-foot walker. I could find them in a sea of feet, a planet, or a universe of feet. They kicked the sky at birth in that town where his great-grandfather found my man's feet, left childhood, past the mineral grit of an oil flush bust, to these atomic eastbound lands. His feet are made of his mother's spiritual concern and of his father, historic and mindfully upright. What walkers! From mound builder steps that led to the Sky Maker, past Spanish galleons, stagecoach, and railroad snaker, one generation following another. No other feet but these could bear the rock-stubborn, loyal bear, towering intelligence, and children picker-upper. That is the one who owns these feet. What an anchor his feet provide for his unmatched immensibility and get up again ability. I've danced behind this man in the stomp dance circle, our feet beating rhythm together. Man, woman, boy, girl, sun and moon jumper. My man's feet are the sure steps of a father looking after his sons, his daughters. For when he laughs, he opens all the doors of our hearts, even as he forgets to shut them when he leaves. And when he grieves for those he loves, he carves out valleys enough to hold everyone's tears with his feet. These feet, my man's wild, widely humble, ever steady, beautiful, brown feet. Prepare. You are a story fed by generations. You carry songs of grief, triumph, loss, and joy. Feel their power as they ascend within you, as you walk, run swiftly, even fly into infinite possibilities. Let go that which burdens you. Let go any acts of unkindness or brutality from or against you. Let go that which has burdened your family, your community, your nation, or disturbed your soul. Let go one breath into another. Pray thankfulness for this earth we are, for this becoming we are, for this sunlight touching skin we are, for the cooling of the dark we are. Listen now as earth sheds her skin. Listen as generations move one against the other to make power. We are bringing in a new story. We will be accompanied by ancient songs and will celebrate together. Breathe this new dawn. Assist as it opens its mouth to sing. How love blows through the trees. This old creek town appears empty except for the trees and the story of how wind will come to clean the earth of the takers who took and never gave back. One day, my grandmother used to sing, a fresh world will rise up to take the place of a society that didn't love the earth. We lost ourselves when we crossed the river, my grandfather used to say. He would make smoke to the east, north, west, and south, and touch the earth and the sky. He'd be standing in the kitchen. There'd be no one listening. Pass this love on, he'd say. It knows how to bend and will never break. It's the only thing with a give and a take. The more it's used, the more it makes. My grandfather flew like smoke to the sky side of earth. He left us here in this place he blessed. What stories he carried, what laughter-wrapped memory. Now I'm standing in the garden and I can hear him singing. Sometimes it takes a while for us to hear. Pass this love on, he'd say. It knows how to bend and will never break. It's the only thing with a give and a take. The more it's used, the more it makes. That love is the bridge that will cross the river home. He'd be standing in the dark with no one listening. How time blows steadily through the city, the trees. Sing to this earth. Sing, he sang. And the last poems. Sundown walks to the edge of the story. In the lands of forgotten memories, I hear a woman singing. A dog runs in circles barking. Then children laugh as they run through. The sashes of one girl's dress are dragging on the ground from playing horse. In this story is a woman with a husband she adores. He is the color of warm brown earth, tall, with kind eyes that shine with love for her. When he loves, it is with every part of his body, from his planted feet to his head good with numbers. When she first lay down with him, their love made roots that dove into the ground, caressed the stones. These roots find water where water is needed. Those nights of early love, he spoke to her when she was sleeping. His words were of the vision of an architect of good dreams. He told her how he would treasure her, how they would walk through this life to the next with each other, no matter the tests and disappointments that befall a human on this earthly road. Those words blossomed into flowers, waters, and sunrises. She wears each day as a river pearl in a necklace. Though the pearls darken with age, they never let up their glow. Time is nothing in those lands. It has been years. They lay down together to sleep in their grown old bones, their weathered skins. She is a woman made of words. He is a man now impatient with words. They hold hands in the dark and fall asleep together. I find them as sundown walks to the edge of the story to wait for sunrise. I find them in a song sung about a woman weeping with joy, about a man whose love for her does not need words, but contains every color that love has ever worn. Thank you.
Thank you all for such a magnificent, loving reading of Joy Harjo's luminous, sagacious poetry. She's a singer, and you all sang as well of her poetry. We have 4 minutes left, so why don't each one of you, Corinne, are you still there? If you are, please come on. If not, we'll go. But why don't each of us take about 45 minutes to talk about the poetry and or the reading. Now we have 3 minutes left, so let's start with the first in order: Jim, Susan, and Phoebe.
Well, thank you, Harry. My first thought about hearing Harjo's poetry today, and I also remember thinking this when I saw her read. Oh, this was at least 15 years ago when she came to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where I taught. I think I mentioned that she brought her alto sax. She also played harmonica. So there was a Charlie Parker element, but there was also a Bob Dylan element to the entire presentation. Anyway, it was wonderful hearing these poems because I think the way she uses repetition as a formal device gives the poems a sort of ritual, hypnotic sense, which is extremely effective when read out loud, to the point that I often wonder whether she might have, written plays or scripts, because she writes at such a highly dramatic level.
Susan?
Hi, I just want to apologize. I had some technical difficulties. My battery died in the middle of this, so apologies for that. Harry, I have to thank you for bringing Joy Harjo to my attention in a huge way. I mean, I knew her, I knew some of her work, but I feel like inviting me to this, I did my immersion, and it's just what I needed right now, because I have to write a poem for my son's wedding, and I feel like she's giving me a way in. The way that she presents her language, the way that she creates her poems. And so I was just doing research on her after, and I was on the treadmill and watching videos of her. And anyway, I found these quotes from her that I just want to read really fast. She says, poetry can make someone fall in love with you. Poetry can make you fall in love with yourself. I come to poetry because of the question, what are we doing here? Why? Who would make a place like this? Poetry could open doors. Poetry could open eyes. It can take our grief and turn it to the depth, the muscle, the toughness you need to be able to climb.
Thank you. Phoebe, we just have about 30 seconds.
Well, I just want to thank you, Harry. She's an extraordinary artist. She's a musician, as Jim said, and she started out as a visual artist. So she's a Renaissance artist, and I love her poems. I used to teach them when I was teaching at Roosevelt, and the kids loved them. I taught about animal allies, and I read she had some horses with them, and they all gathered an animal ally to themselves. Thank you for this, Harry. She's a wonderful poet.
Thank you, Jim Cushing, Phoebe MacAdams, Corinne Conley, Susan Hayden. Next Tuesday, we have two wonderful poets with us, Susan Suntree and Michelle Bidding.
Happy birthday, Harry!
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Harry!
Thank you.